Imagine someone trying to woo you with promises of endless love, fancy clothes, and the perfect life in nature. Sounds great, right? But what if you knew they couldn't actually deliver on these promises? That's exactly what Sir Walter Raleigh's The Nymph's Reply to the Shepherd is all about. It's a brutal reality check to Christopher Marlowe's idealistic love poem. Today, I'll be taking a deep dive and taking you through Walter Raleigh's life, the date of the poem, an overview of the poem, a deep dive of the structure of the poem, the literary devices used in this poem, and the themes and the tone of the poem. Sir Walter Raleigh wrote this poem as a direct response to Marlowe's The Passionate Shepherd to His Love, which was published around 1599. Raleigh's reply wasn't just written to counter Marlowe. It was also to reflect his own cynical view of love and life. While we don't know the exact year Raleigh wrote it, scholars estimate it was around the same time. It was published posthumously in 1600, which means after his death. The poem is a lyrical poem. It expresses emotions rather than telling a story. Unlike Marlowe's poem, which is all about romantic idealism, Raleigh's poem is a rebuttal from the perspective of a nymph who is not impressed by the shepherd's promises. The nymph is attracted to romance in nature, but it is not tempted by the shepherd as she knows that these are not permanent qualities. The poem systematically dismantles every promise put in Marlowe's piece, pointing out that youth, beauty, and material pleasures are temporary. The nymph implies that love based on solely idealism and material gifts cannot last, making the shepherd's vision unrealistic.
Oh.
Raleigh follows the same pastoral style as Marlowe, but twists it into a harsh reality check. The poem has 6 stanzas of 4 lines each. This structure mirrors Marlowe's poem, making it clear that this is a direct reply. But while Marlowe's flowing rhyme feels dreamy and romantic, Raleigh uses the same structure to expose the flaws in that dream. The consistent rhyme scheme gives the poem a smooth, almost musical quality, making the rejection sound even more biting. By keeping the same form as Marlowe's poem, Raleigh emphasizes that his argument is not just a response, but a complete reversal of the original message. One of the biggest themes here is the temporary nature of beauty and pleasure. The nymph knows that the shepherd's promises won't last because time changes everything. This brings us to the poem's tone. While Marlowe's poem is romantic and idealistic, Raleigh is skeptical, realistic, and even a little sarcastic. He's essentially saying to take the emotion out of the real. Another major theme in the contrast between reality and fantasy, showing how people often believe in love based on illusions rather than substance. The poem also touches on disillusionment, as the nymph clearly sees through the shepherd's empty promises and refuses to be deceived. Let's break down some of the key literary devices that make this poem so impactful. First up is imagery. Raleigh uses vivid nature imagery, but flips it. Instead of an eternal paradise, he emphasizes decay. For example, the flowers do fade, and wanes in fields. To wayward winter reckoning yields. He paints a picture of reality where nothing stays perfect forever. Then is alliteration. The repetition of consonant sounds create rhythm and emphasis. For example, rivers rage and rocks grow cold. The hard R and G sounds reflect the harsh reality of nature. This sound effects adds a sense of finality and coldness to the nymph's argument. And then we have irony. The entire poem is ironic. The nymph doesn't just reject the shepherd, she uses his own poetic style against him. This makes her response more effective as she plays within the same romantic framework, only to completely dismantle it. Finally, we have symbolism. Many of the gifts the shepherd offers, like gowns, a belt of straw, and the bed of roses, symbolize love. But the nymph points out that they all wither and fade, just like his promises. Her rejection isn't just about one love interest. It represents a broader understanding of love as something that cannot be built on fleeting pleasures. In the end, the nymph's reply to the shepherd is more than just a response to a love poem. It's a reality check about life itself. While Marlowe's shepherd's dreams of an eternal paradise, Raleigh reminds us that nothing lasts forever. The nymph represents a voice of reason, challenging the idea that love is only about gifts and fleeting happiness. Instead of falling for sweet words, she demands something deeper and more lasting. So is the nymph being too harsh, or is she just being honest? That's for you guys to decide. Thank you for listening to my poem, and I love you all.
DeAndre, are you okay? Are you okay? You're not funny. That is so not funny.